Welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell.
How's Susan feeling? You don't have the cold like everybody else does in the newsroom.
No, but I'm staying as far away from you as I can.
I don't blame you because I'm sneezing. I'm coughing. I'm a complete mess over here.
Sorry.
Remember the pandemic days, like where you would go out to eat and you'd have like the little plastic divider?
Bring that back for me right now.
Do we
I don't
need
want
that?
your cold.
You don't want it either. And I was just told by our audio engineer, Todd, to stay away from him as well because he has vacation coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So don't want to get him sick. So everybody just stay clear. Can you hear it in my voice or not?
No, not
really?
today. Yesterday I could a little bit.
Yeah, it's anyway.
You're going to get there. You're going to get better.
I
almost get some good sleep.
I almost did the teledoc. I
Yeah.
love the teledoc. You just do it from your house or wherever. You don't have to go in. Have you used teledoc before?
Well, what do you need the doc for a cold?
Well,
do you think it's worse than a cold?
Well, it could get worse.
Oh, gosh. Then really stay away from me.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm sorry. You're mean.
I'm sorry.
Stay away from me.
Go have chicken noodle soup. Go get some sleep.
I know.
You'll be okay.
Plenty of liquids, right? I might be drinking the wrong ones, though. those are not gonna make my cold go away.
Or they kill all the germs.
That's true. So listen, what's your big vacation plans coming up? Do you have any?
This summer we'll do our classic. We go to my in-laws' house in Southern California. We go to my parents' house in upstate New York.
That seems to be a trend with you. Every time I ask, it's the same answer there.
That's what we do. We don't have enough vacation days to do more than that.
And you have to go see the in-laws and your parents as well, or unless you wind up in bad trouble.
Yeah. Well, and we get to go to fun places. Southern California and upstate New York and the Adirondacks. Those are two great polar opposite places.
Yeah, that's true. And you got built-in babysitters in case you and the hubby want to take off somewhere.
To hang out. Yeah.
Have you rented a home before on vacation?
Quick. A couple Airbnbs for quick stuff, not for family trips. Like if I went to a wedding with a couple friends, we did like an Airbnb or something like that. Yeah,
very popular with renting homes. I'm kind of a hotel type guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where a lot of my stays are made. But listen, there's nothing wrong with vacation homes. A lot of them are really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are in some very nice cities. So
you can kind of feel like you're living like the rich and famous for a minute.
Like if you have a 7-day vacation, you can rent that home out and just feel like for 7 days you've got it made.
Mm-hmm.
And some people do have it made because they're able to buy those homes.
Oh, they're the ones renting to us.
They're the ones renting to the Campbells, for instance.
Okay.
So anyway, that's what we're talking about today. The best cities to buy investment property, vacation homes. And do you happen to know?
So you're going to make me daydream a little bit today,
huh?
huh?
There's nothing wrong with having a goal.
I love it.
And, maybe buying some investment property. Today we're talking to Daned Kirkham. He's with Vacasa. Is that how you pronounce that, Daned?
That's correct, Vacasa, yes.
Vacasa is a vacation rental management company, and we appreciate you being on the On Your Side podcast. Let me ask you straight out of the gate, what makes a great vacation property? What amenities should you really have on the property to make it, rentable and wanting people to rent?
I'm so glad you asked that question to start because that's something that we talk about all the time, and it's really important to us to have the amenities that the guests want. So if you're by the beach, you'd be by the beach. If you have a pool, hot tub, that really is what drives visits and drives happy, vacations and experiences. So, to answer your question, it does vary by market, but to make sure that you have an amenity in your market that those guests that are visiting there are going to want to have, it makes all the difference in the world to us. So if you're skiing, you got to be right by the mountain, ski in, ski out. If you're at the beach, you got to be walking distance to the beach. You got to have a pool. All of those amenities make a big difference when you're deciding on a home.
Yeah, I would imagine if you're looking to rent someplace and say the Southwest, very, very sunny, nice weather, pretty much all year round, a pool and or a hot tub is pretty much a given. You need to have that in order to rent it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we see when our guests are coming into our site, and that's what they're looking to, in the homes. That's the experience they're looking for.
How about some of the littler amenities? Like, would you say you need the kayak if you are by the beach, or the beach cruiser bicycles that somebody might be able to take out for a spin? Do you have to have those smaller things?
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, that's what really, when people are looking and they're looking online and they see those types of additional amenities, that's what increases those bookings for those homes, which is going to drive more revenue for the owner.
It makes sense. I mean, the more bells and whistles, so to speak, I mean, the more attractive you will look. So you put together a list of some of the best cities. Let me just ask you, why did Vacasa do this? I mean, obviously you're in the business and you want to know exactly what cities are the best, but give me a little insight into why you did this survey or research and what you found.
Yes, and we've been doing it for a while, and you can go see the whole thing on our website at vacasa.com. We did it because we were having a lot of people come to us say, "Hey, I'm really interested in this, but I need some help in deciding what location I should be purchasing in." So we started it a number of years ago, and we've been doing it every year since, and it gets a lot of interest from those people that just want to know the best markets and where in those markets to purchase.
So I looked at the top. I think this is top 25. So I scanned through all of them, and I will have to admit, a lot of these cities I am very familiar with, and I really, really like them.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But number one on the list, this is the number one best city to buy a vacation home in order to rent it out, and it is North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I've heard of Myrtle Beach, but we're getting specific here. We're talking North Myrtle Beach, and everybody's heard of Myrtle Beach. That's been a vacation spot for years for a lot of New Yorkers and a lot of people up there in Connecticut and Rhode Island, Susan.
Well, in Rhode Island, we had our own beaches. We didn't need to go to Myrtle Beach.
We don't need Myrtle Beach. But all right, yeah. North Myrtle Beach, number one on the list. What's up with that, Daned?
Yeah, well, you hit it. I mean, it's because of that location to those big markets. So it's a big popular drive-to place. You can get there. Myrtle Beach is right there next to it as well. But just, it gets a lot of year-round business, and, it's easy to get to for a lot of people in major urban markets. So that really drives the occupancy in that market.
Seems like a lot of New Yorkers go to Myrtle Beach for vacation and just to get away and cut loose. And a lot of Chicagoans come to the Phoenix area. I've noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say I noticed it. I mean, we've known that for years and years now. But all right, number two.
I don't want to jump ahead, but Phoenix is on the list.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that in a second. I was a little surprised it was far down as it was, but before we get there, let's just talk about the top five here. So number two. Oh, I love number two. It's in Alabama. Tell us about it, Daned.
Yeah, Dolphin Island, I think you're referring to.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of Dolphin Island, you think of those larger homes. So you're getting big families coming down there, multiple families staying together. I mean, great, experiences down there on the coast. So it's always really high on the list.
And that's kind of near, I guess you could call that the redneck Riviera, as they say with a smile down there, right?
Sure. Gulf Shores right there is another one that's always really high on the list.
Gulf Shores. I love Gulf.
I haven't been there.
I'm going to show you on the map this little area that I just absolutely love. And
when
Todd,
was the last
our
time
engineer,
you vacationed there?
Which just went a couple of weeks ago down to Pensacola,
Okay.
which, by the way, Pensacola is not on the list.
Well, it is not, but there's a lot of places right around there that are close to it. I mean, Pensacola is a great spot, up and coming. Okaloosa Island is on there. So a lot of the places right in that, Florida Panhandle are definitely on the list.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's round out the top five. We got the first two. What are the
Myrtle
next?
Beach, Dolphin Island. Tell us about number three.
Number three is Okaloosa Island in the Panhandle of Florida. A lot of condominiums, a lot of drive-to traffic, and just, good year-round activity on Okaloosa.
Yeah, I rented a boat there about 2 years ago. I forget, like here in Phoenix, we have I think we call it Scorpion Bay. In Okaloosa, there's something called, oh my gosh, what is it? Something Bay, but the water is crystal clear. It's only like 3 feet deep. That's it. Some places like 2, and you just bring your pontoon boat in there and you just party with everybody else.
That sounds so fun.
Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Yeah, and I never drove a boat. In order to rent a boat in Florida, you have to pass the boating license.
Oh.
So I think it was like 20 questions, and you take it. Yeah.
Oh, that's it?
It's like 20 questions. You're supposed to study, but I'll tell you what I did. I just went to Google, and I typed in the question, and then I got the answer. I was like, okay, there's the answer.
Oh, Gary. Oh, come on.
I wasn't up for studying, and you know what? Once I got to that bay where the beautiful water and all that stuff, I just jumped. I didn't want to like wreck the boat or anything or hit somebody because there's a ton of thousands and thousands of people. I just got off and I just pulled it like I'm
Drop the anchor.
I was just pulling it, and then when we stopped, I just dropped the anchor there.
Funny.
So didn't want to get in trouble there.
Okay, so number 4 then.
We got Okaloosa. Number 4 is what?
Number 4 is Hatteras Island out on North Carolina on the coast. Another big place that attracts a lot of big families, larger homes, and just again, year after year, repeat visitors that just keep going back there.
Okay,
So
and
we got
number 5.
I got North Carolina under twice.
Yeah.
Number 5, this one was a little new for us, but it's up in Alaska. It's one of the few mountain places that made our list, but it does track a lot of skiers up there. And one of the things, we do this list based on cap rate, which is a calculation based on the total revenue and the home price. And so up there, you get a little lower home price than some of those places, out on the water. And so you get a little bit higher cap rate and a little better return for it.
This might be a little out of your realm, but I'm going to ask anyway. When it comes to people buying homes and or condos in these very hot tourist type areas, are they buying with a loan? Are they taking a mortgage out? Or are these cash buyers? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, actually, it's a great question, and because they really are more cash buyers, right? I mean, think about it. Maybe they're pulling some investments from other places, selling another home. So they are doing some financing, but for the most part, we do see more cash buyers than I think you would in a normal market, which means some of these markets, they don't fluctuate as much based on, rising or decreasing interest rates because of that. And the other point is you have to think in a lot of these markets, these people are not really just buying for investment. It's important that, it makes sense, but they're buying for experience. This is not their primary residence. So they're buying in a place that they want to go back to year after year and make memories with their family and friends there.
Yeah.
Is now a time that it makes sense to actually jump into this investment? I mean, we have so much uncertainty in the market right now. We have people who are, bracing for inflation and kind of cutting back on savings. Are families going to be renting these places once an investor comes in and tries to rent it out?
Yeah, I think it's always a great time to be buying a vacation home, but it is a question that comes up quite a bit. You saw during the last couple of years incredible price increases in some of these markets due to very limited supply and a lot of increased demand. So you've seen price appreciation in some of these markets. But, long term, and I've been doing this a while, I always think it's a good time because, 5, 10, 15 years from now, we've seen these increase and you're getting the use of that again as a family. So you're getting the vacations out of it. You're getting the memories and all of that goes along with it.
What's a measure of success for somebody who wants to rent out their property? Like how often should they expect it to be rented?
Yeah, it depends a lot on the market. I guess I would say in general, what we've seen is some of the big spikes in seasonality have kind of, we don't see that as much anymore. So we're seeing those shoulder seasons that used to be really slow times are kind of extending, and even like some off seasons where you would typically see like no revenue, you're starting to see people travel. So people are still traveling, and they're traveling during some of those times that were traditionally slower, and they're staying longer. And I think you guys kind of touched on it earlier. They can work remotely, so they can stay a few extra days if they need to, and they do like the convenience of being in a home versus being in a hotel if they need to cook meals or just need more space.
When we talk about vacation homes, I think a lot of people just might automatically tune themselves out and say, I'm out of that category. I can't really maybe afford, but you might be surprised. And I'll tell you why. I know people who have bought like in a hot market condos, for instance, and they rent them out for say 4 or 5 months, and they get such a premium in rent that the rent that they collected over the 4 months is enough to pay their mortgage for the remaining 8 months. So it is very doable. Do you find a lot of people doing that in these premium markets?
We do, and it's a good point because we actually now see some younger buyers that are buying vacation homes that are priced out of the markets that they live in. So maybe it's gotten too expensive where they live, but they can go buy a home in a smaller vacation market and vacation in it, and then rent it out and cover their expenses when they're not using it.
Wow! Wait, can we
That's a fascinating trend.
Yeah, can we just kind of stay on that point? People are not buying their like a home to live in; they rent, but they're buying a vacation home to rent that out.
Exactly. Yeah. And think about it. It makes a lot of sense. We know from studies that a lot of the wealth comes through real estate ownership. So if you can't afford a home in the place that you live, your primary home, and you're renting, you can still purchase a home in a vacation market and still benefit from that wealth.
How much are people actually spending on vacation rental homes that are going to be these investment properties?
It varies quite a bit. I mean, some of these markets that we discussed, you can get a studio 1-bedroom condo for, a couple $100,000. Obviously, when you're talking about a large single family home on Hatteras, you're getting up in the millions. But you can find some of these affordable markets, and that's kind of why some of these places made the list, was because if they had a lower price entry, but still had a lot of demand for guests coming to visit the home.
I've noticed in Florida, anyway, condos there, some of them are very affordable and in great locations, but I've also noticed that the HOA is out of sight. So if you're looking, you might come across something that looks great and the numbers are right, but then you have to pay attention to that HOA. Any reason why, do you know, Daned, that Florida has such high HOAs? And when I say high, we're talking, I mean, some of them are like $1,500 a month, $2,300 a month. That's a mortgage for some people, and that's just the HOA. What's going on with that?
Yeah, and insurance is driving a lot of that, and it's not just Florida. We're seeing that in other markets. And so we really advise our clients when they're looking in these markets to take all of that in consideration. I mean, we talked about Gulf Shores, Alabama versus, Destin, Florida. Well, maybe there's a difference in property taxes between those two, so it might make sense, or insurance costs. But work with a professional, work with a licensed real estate agent that really understands the short-term rental market and what those additional costs would be, so going into it.
And people, when it comes to investing in these properties, they have to be a certain fabric, because you can't be the crotchety old guy who and I won't mention the company, but there's a great commercial on right now with Nick Saban as the people show up and he's like, "You're not supposed to be here until 5:55 or 6 o'clock." And they're like, "Well, it's 5:55." And he's like, "Yeah, exactly."
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you're handing over your keys to your house every single week.
Yeah. But you have to be the person that is going to let people enjoy your home. You can't be checking on it or calling or whatever, making sure that they're not punching holes in the wall. I mean, that unfortunately comes with the territory. Yeah. I mean, sometimes, but you have to be a certain character to own and rent out rental property.
Well, you touched on it. I mean, that's why we highly recommend using a professional property management company like Vacasa, because we can help with all of that. So anything from making sure that, you're getting the right guests in there, they're not having they're not doing all of that. If there is damage that is being taken care of and someone's working it, highly recommend working with a professional property management company if you're going to be renting your home out.
What do typical property management companies charge for short-term rentals? What's the percentage that goes along with that?
Yeah, so it's a percentage of the revenue. A lot of it varies by markets. Phoenix is a market that's probably lower maintenance or requires less than a ski town or something like that. But you could say in the range of 25 to 30% would be a good rule of thumb.
Hey, we brought up Phoenix, and we kind of buried the lead, as we say in the journalism world. Phoenix is on the top 25 best places to buy a vacation home. I don't know how. I mean, homes around here are through the roof, right? But we're on the list.
But not maybe as much as other places, and the taxes that you have to figure in don't cost as much as it does at other places. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
We barely made it in there, but where did we squeak in at?
Well, that's what kept it off the list for a long time, was your escalating home prices.
Boy.
We always see really strong demand there, but the home prices, you're just kept going up and up and up. But it did make the list. It's one of the few urban markets. We work more in the resort markets, but it was one of the urban markets that made it. And I think it's just because of the demand that you have in there. I mean, obviously you see a big, winter demand, but I think you have a good year-round demand of people going there, and that's what's driving it.
Yeah, and you're indicating here on your list that the median home price is right around $597 here in the Phoenix area. So got to know exactly what you're getting into.
I bet my home.
We base that on homes that's not for the Phoenix market, but the homes that we manage. And that's how we.
Okay, I got you. Well, thanks for the clarification. Go ahead.
I bet my home state of Ohio isn't on that list for best vacation homes.
I would bet my paycheck that it's nowhere near the top 25. Can you back me up on that, Daned?
Well, I don't know where exactly, Susan, but I mean, what we see is like these markets that we kind of talked about that have strong, drive to demand. So large urban areas that are driving to these markets, not having a big, seasonality. So kind of year round demand. Those are all things that we see are for the cities that made the list. That's kind of what drives it.
Hey, I know there's a hot housing market going on, and it's also made your list for buying rental property, but this is in Nashville. Nashville is really exploding down there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Any ideas why? I mean, everybody seems to be migrating there.
Bachelorette parties.
Is that what it is?
Bachelorette parties.
Girls on Broadway,
yes,
as they say.
Literally, that's all I think.
Yeah.
Every person I've ever met in my life has gone to a bachelorette party in Nashville. Oh. Except me. I haven't ever been invited to one of the Nashville parties.
My wife and son went there, and they had a fantastic time.
Did they?
Yeah, and they did say the girls on Broadway, as they say, they're full of them.
They took over the street.
As my good friend Morgan Wallen likes to sing. All right, hey, listen, tell us a little bit about Vacasa, where we could find the website, or if people want to know more about you, Daned, where can they go?
Yes, you can go to vacasa.com and learn all about our services. We're a full service property management company, so we take care of the home. We provide the marketing and booking for it. We put it out on all the channels, and we take care of your home, and we take good care of our guests. And yeah, vacasa.com, you can come check us out.
Hey, if somebody was to get in touch with you and they own a home and they want to rent it out, the tenant for that, say, week or the month of the renting, do they make the check out to Vacasa and then you distribute it to the landlords, or how does that happen?
So you can find all of our homes on Airbnb and VRBO and absolutely hundreds of those channels, or you can find them directly at vacasa.com.
Okay.
They book directly for us. We collect all that. We pay it to the owners. We also take care of the taxes if there's local municipal taxes we need to take care of. So we take care of all of that.
All right. Great conversation. I learned a lot. And I think, Susan, you want to go out and maybe we can start looking for maybe,
this is our side gig?
This could be a side gig.
I like it.
Yeah, a good partnership.
Consumer reporters by day,
yes,
and property managers by night.
We'll split the revenue 80-20. I'll get 80.
Whoa. I did not agree to that.
All right, listen, hey, thanks so much for being on the On Your Side podcast. Go enjoy yourself and buy yourself another property, okay, Daned?
Thank you. Great to meet you. Good to be with you.
The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton. And I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can't, send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.